All right, here is our homework one project. Going into the code, we'll start off with the game mode. For the game mode, when you start off at the beginning of every level, it'll set the respawn location. This was just a troubleshooting thing we decided to leave in just in case anything messed up, but it'll set the respawn point to um, the player's start. There's a little bit of a delay here before you create the HUD, and that's because if you start the game, we didn't want to have two overlapping um, widgets. So you just have this rather than a heads up display in the top left hand corner before the player's even started. Going up to here, whenever the player is destroyed, it'll trigger this event. It'll take off a life, and then it'll spawn in an actor. If they're at 0 lives, it will, well, checks to see if they're at 0 lives. If they're not, they'll keep playing because they still have lives left. If they do, or if they did run out of lives, it'll pause the game, let you move around the cursor. It'll remove the current heads up display just to declutter. It'll set the score to 0 in the instance. The instance is a constant thing throughout the entire game. So it'll carry your score over level to level. This way, if you die at level 3 and come back to the first level after losing all of your lives, you'll start at 0 rather than starting at whatever score you were at previously. Then it'll open up a um, out of lives widget, which is pretty simple, restarting from the beginning or quitting, and then stopping the music so there's no overlap. Then in here, we're calculating the score. So when the player reaches the end, it'll calculate their score, which is taking their reserve lives, multiplying that by 100 to represent the health you didn't get rid of, adding it to the player's current health, and then adding that to their current score and setting that as their current score. So if the player picked up a collectible in the middle of the level, they'll have 100 score, and then if they didn't take any damage, that'll add 300 to their score. So at the end of the level, they'll have 400. Next, the instance. This is just where we have a stop and play the sound, or the sound being the background music, as well as holding our variables that need to transfer over level to level, which is the difficulty and the score. Next is the player ball. Whenever it's destroyed by either falling off the map or reducing the health, we'll talk about this in just a minute. It'll destroy the actor and then it will trigger player respawn. So that's what we saw here in the game mode. If the player falls off the map, we just destroy the actor. That acts as losing all of your health. Reducing health, the way we did this is it'll take the player's current health, and whenever they hit an obstacle, it will multiply the difficulty by 15, and that'll be reducted from the current health. So at the first difficulty, you'll only lose 15 health, while on the third difficulty, the hardest one, you'll lose 45. And then checking to see if the health has reached less than 0. If it has, we'll destroy the actor, triggering the respawn. Um, Next up, we can talk about some of the elements on the map. So we have a couple of obstacles, bumpers, a collectible, and these start and end platforms. Um, the collectible, whenever the player runs over it, it will add 100 to the score. It'll play a little sound effect and then get rid of it so the player can't um, die and then pick it up again over and over, collecting or gaining more score. The next thing is the start and end platforms. The start platform was really just there for consistency's sake, so we didn't have to drag out a plane and rescale it every time. We can just drag and drop one thing every time, and it would be consistent. Um, the end platform, whenever the player hits it, it'll play a little sound. And then in the level blueprint, there's a lot going on here, but it's not that complicated. When the player reaches the checkpoint, we'll calculate the score. There will be a little bit of a delay so that it can play that sound effect. It'll pause the game, show the cursor, remove the heads up display, and then it'll pull up the level 1 widget, which is just level 1 complete. And then the max score per level is 400, and then telling you what score you got. And this number increases from level to level. So level 3, the max score you can have is 1,200, so it'll scale up. Let's see. So yeah, that happens when the player reaches the end, and then at the beginning, let's see. Oh yeah, at the very beginning of the level, this is kind of jumping around a little bit. Sorry about that, but at the very beginning of the level, or the first level that is, it will start playing the music, and then it will pause the game and open up the main menu, which I believe I already pulled up, but I'll do that just again. So it'll pull up this interface where you can select your difficulty or quit out of the game. Um, Pretty self-explanatory there. Next thing is we have 3 obstacles that are pretty similar. This is the actual obstacle that you can find throughout the level. This, indicated by the red, is if you hit that, you will lose health. So when the player overlaps it, it'll play a sound, like a collision sound, and then it will call the reduce health function. Um, Same thing for this moving obstacle, but it has the oh, I didn't mean to do that. Oops. It has what we learned in the textbook on how to move something from side to side. So in the final level, we had to implement a moving obstacle or a moving platform. So at the very end of the last level, there'll be an obstacle at the bottom moving side to side. The next one is the bumper. This one is just playing the sound. We don't penalize the players for hitting the bumper, um, but it does just play a sound. And then the last thing is the kill floor, which when the kill floor is located below the map, it's just a collision box down here. The player overlaps it, it will call to the fell off the map. And then, yeah, I believe that is all.